it looks like literally the minute I get off the lesson with you guys, my Maya works. So let me quickly go again through what I showed you guys today with the help of Matthew, so that everybody can kind of have a look at this. So first off, I am going to talk about what mode I'm in. First off, I am in the modeling mode. That's up here in the top corner, modeling mode. That's how I know what mode I'm in. Usually that's the default. We have different modes for doing different things. Later on in Maya, you'll experience things like rendering and all of that sort of stuff. But first off, the view I'm into, this is my panel layout over here. These are my toolboxes here. These are my shapes here. And these are sort of different ways I can combine and blend shapes together. Yeah, and then this is for later with rendering when you're creating texture maps. So that's all there, yeah? So, first off, I'm just going to click the little create polygonal cube here. And that starts off by creating a little polygonal cube. Now, to change the way my polygonal cube looks, I can use the move tool here, which is W. E is rotate. And R is basically, it lets you sort of scale. Yeah, so if I grab these little handles, that lets me do that. Command Z or Control Z lets me undo, just like with every other software. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make this a little bit larger. If I click on the box in the middle, that lets me expand or shrink. Yeah. If I hit W, that's my move. I can move that up and down. But how do I move around my screen? I'm going to hold down my Alt key now, and that will let me sort of, Alt and left click lets me kind of hover around the object. Alt and the middle button, that kind of lets me track left and right. Alt and my right key kind of lets me zoom in and out. So I'm holding down the Alt key and I'm using the right button on my mouse, moving the middle button. The right button is also duplicated by using the wheel on my mouse. That lets me zoom in and out as well. And then the Alt key and the left button lets me kind of float around and play around with that. Now there's other views I can look at. To toggle a 4 view, I can click this little button here, and that will take me to that. Or if I go back to this one, if I hit the space bar, that will take me to a 4 view as well. Or if you accidentally hit the space bar and it does it, and that takes me inside of my views. Yeah? Whatever your active view is, there's a thin white line around that. So that shows me what view I'm actively in. And in each side of my view windows, I've got different options of seeing how my object is shown. So I can go into shading, and that's going to show me how my object appears on this panel. So I could do X-ray, and you can see it looks sort of translucent. I could do shading. I could say wireframe on shaded, so it's like sort of translucent. And I've got a little wireframe there, even when the object is not selected, so I can kind of see what's going on. And then I can also do shading. I can turn off X-ray, and then that just has the wireframe on that. And I can change that to be different things on each one of those. So I can change my shading down here to X-ray, for example. And it's up to you how you want to have your panels for the preference that works best for you. Yeah. And also too, I can navigate once again in these windows using the Alt key and my mouse. And it's just something you just get used to. Yeah. Now each polygonal shape has ways I can adjust it and move it around and transform it. So if I right click with my mouse, you'll see I get this little window that pops up. And this is my little interface mode. And this lets me see how I can see my object. So object mode is what I'm in right now because it selects the whole object. Edge selects the edge of the shape. And I can pull and extrude that. I just Command Z there. If I hit E, R, that will let me scale it in. Yeah. If I now go into this again and I right click and I go to vertex, that allows me to grab each one of the corners, and I can then once again use W, E or R, E to go to my rotation, which wouldn't really do much to this one, but I could rotate it a little bit this way. You'll see that kind of pulls out, but it doesn't do very much. R, that lets me change the scale. And because the object really isn't there, with vertices, it's usually you're moving something. It's usually use your move tool, good old W, to do that. So, vertices another way, and then the other way would be face. So every object has a face as well. And with the face, I can move that out. I can R to change the scale of it. Yeah, I can hit E and rotate that. You can see as I'm looking at these different modes, I can see how that affects that. So usually if you are modeling, you are sort of toggling between that. And by the way, I can see what mode I am in because I can see also what perspective I have. So right here it says view, this is my top view. You can see it says in the middle there, top, front, and side. I can change my view to select camera. And then that would change that as well. Or I could do, if I change my view, I can create camera from view, and that would put in a camera there. I can also undo if I ever need to. I can do undo view change. Yeah, and I could just use that to kind of control those things. So the next thing I showed you guys how to do was create a mug. So I'm just going to press delete and get rid of that because I went back to object mode. And of course you can create tools here, but to create a shape that has a little bit more options on how that shape's going to be generated, I'm going to go into create, and then under my NURBS primitives I have on my polygon primitives I have a whole bunch of basic shapes. And if I think about it, I'm going to make a coffee mug is going to have sort of a nice sort of cylinder sort of shape. And the reason I'm using a cylinder instead of a pipe is because I want to have, an inside of my cylinder. So in my cylinder, if I click this little box here, this is going to show me my options. So I'd like to have basically on my radius, that's the sort of size. I can increase the radius of, the radius is the circular sort of thing that makes up my mug. Oops. I can increase my radius or I could decrease that. That's how big my mug's radius is going to be. I'm just going to say 2. My height is 2, so if I want my height to be higher than my radius, I can say 4. My axis on the division, that's how many little segments I'm going to have that make up the sort of the roundness of my thing. 20 is quite high, so I'm going to just change that down to, I don't know, like 16 or so. And then my height on my division, so that's how many sort of segments break up my height. I'll say 4. And my cap, that's the top and bottom cap of my mug. Because I'd like to have my mug kind of be a mug, I'm going to change that cap division from 1 to 2. And basically, if I click apply now, you'll see I've got my mug there. If I don't click apply, if I click create, that makes the window go away, but if I want to sort of maybe undo what I've done and adjust that a little bit, I can always just do that. And if I want to get rid of that, I just click close. Alright, happy with that. I'm holding down the Alt key to kind of navigate where I am. There is my little mug. And the first thing I want to do is I want to just adjust these this edge here, yeah, because it's too far out. So shading, I'm going to turn on wireframe on shaded, just so I can click and see what I'm doing. So this bit here, you can see if this was going to be the lip of my mug's not going to have a lot of room for my teeth. So what I want to do is I'm going to go into edge mode, and if I just double click, that should just select the whole edge loop. And if I hit the letter R, I can just expand that out. And the nice thing is, if I'm working in the top mode, I know that that's not going to select the other modes. It's not going to affect the other. I'm not going to accidentally move things on the Y or the Z axis. It's just going to move things on one axis, and I can see that very clearly here. And the nice thing is, with this view, I can see what's selected, that I'm only working on the area that I want to work on. Now I'm going to go to the face, and I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and select the other faces really quick. And now what I'm going to do is over here on my modeling toolkit, I've got my extrude tool over here in my components. And I'm going to click extrude, and I'm going to extrude this from the center. To change where it's extruding from, I'd like to have that center. This little like universal icon here, you see, if I click that, that's going to view everything from the world, and that's going to center that. So I want to move things right down from the center. So I just click that. That's going to do it not from object, but from world, and that's going to give me the opportunity to extrude that down. And I can see, as in this view, particularly because it's my side view, that I am looking at that, and I can see, okay, that looks good. That looks like the base of my mug. That's all I want to have. Yeah, perfect. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly bevel this edge. So I'm going to go to edge, and I'm going to bevel that. Once again, double clicking to select the edge loop, and basically I can just click bevel here, and that will just bevel that. But the doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to change the fraction there from 0.5 to 0.2, and the amount of segments, it's how many divisions it's going to have. I'm going to say from 1, I'm going to change that to 2, and I'll change the depth to 2 as well. And it's kind of a guessing game, but it just needs to kind of look right. That looks a little bit better. Maybe my fraction, I'll do 0.3. And I can just adjust that till it looks like I'm happy with that. And then I can do the same. I can select that edge loop and click bevel. And of course it defaults back to what it was. I'll say nope. What I did there, just to quickly explain to you, I hit the number 3, and the 3 would show me what my mug would look like at a level 3 subdivision. 2 and 1, I explained that a little bit. Subdivision is basically what it looks like if your model is slightly smoothed. I accidentally hit 1 instead of inside of the thing, and that would change that view for you. So if I go back to bevel, I meant to do 0.3 here, and segments 2. Cool. Alright, I'm happy with that. So there's my mug, happy with that. Actually, I think I want to change the height of this, like it's all a bit too low. So I'm just going to go into edge mode, and I'm just going to grab all of the edges down here. And I don't want the horizontal ones, so I'm going to hold the Shift key, and I'm going to just drag the horizontal ones and kind of deselect those. And of course, when you deselect things, I'm just holding down the Shift key as I'm dragging. And now I've got those 2 edges, and now I should just be able to go W and pull these down a little bit. So I want a little bit of a taller mug. Yeah, totally a preference thing. I like a bigger, taller mug. Yeah, so once again, you just drag a selection, hold down the Shift key, select that. Hold down the Shift key, select one thing, and then just deselect the other. And of course, it's going to be a little pain and select all those things. So we'll select it where there's something else selected. There, and then I could adjust, for example, the position of that, just space that out a little bit. Yeah, that's just kind of the idea of how to make the mug. Just to show you a few things very quickly, because I felt really bad about my Maya being bad, but I've got to go to another meeting now. I hope this gives you a quick sense of what it is I kind of covered in the meeting, and I'd like you guys to make a teapot, and if you want any additional help or anything, please let me know. Alright, take care you guys, and thank you for your understanding.